Zixara pressed her blue-webbed fingers against the cold glass of the observation deck. The stars sparkled like tiny diamonds in the black space around Kepler Station. She had come here from Tidal Prime 3 years ago to study at the Galactic Xenobiology Institute. Every day, she learned about new worlds and strange creatures from across the galaxy. But one world always caught her attention: Earth. The death world. Professor Vextan had mentioned it again in class today. His gray skin had turned pale when he spoke about it. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, he had said in his scratchy voice. The most dangerous rating we have. No student should ever visit such a place. Zixara could not understand why. The pictures she had seen showed a blue and green planet covered in water and plants. It looked beautiful. How could something so pretty be so deadly? Still thinking about the human world? Zixara turned around. Her friend Catherine stood behind her, their crystal body glowing softly in the dim light. Catherine came from a small moon where everything was light and gentle. They moved like floating music. I just do not understand it, Zixara said. Every teacher acts like Earth is the worst place in the galaxy, but it looks so much like my home world. Maybe that is what makes it scary, said another voice. Flux drifted over to them, their gas bodies shimmering like a cloud. Sometimes the most dangerous things look safe. Pipta rustled over on their root legs. The plant being was tall and green, with leaves that changed color with their emotions. Right now, the leaves were yellow with curiosity. I heard that humans breathe poison, Pipta whispered, and their world tries to kill them every day. That cannot be true, Zixara said. But she wondered if it was. The next morning, Zixara was eating her algae breakfast when the announcement came. Director Qualesh spoke through the station speakers in their deep, slow voice. Attention all students. We have a special opportunity. The Terran Federation has offered to host exchange students on their home world. This is the first time humans have allowed aliens to visit Earth. Students who are interested should report to Conference Room 7 after morning classes. Zixara nearly choked on her food. Earth was accepting visitors? She had to apply after classes. Zixara rushed to Conference Room 7. She was surprised to see that only 12 students had come. Usually, exchange programs filled up quickly. Catherine, Flux, and Pitta were there too, along with 8 other brave souls. I see we have some adventurous students here, Director Qualesh said. Their tentacles moved nervously. I must warn you. Earth is classified as a death world for good reasons. The gravity is crushing. The atmosphere is poison. The weather can kill you. Are you sure you want to do this? Several students left right away, but Zixara stayed. She had to know the truth about Earth. 2 days later, a human ship docked at Kepler Station. Zixara watched from the observation deck as the strange vessel attached itself to the docking bay. It looked solid and heavy, nothing like the graceful ships from other worlds. The remaining 6 students gathered in the meeting room. Zixara felt her gills flutter with nervousness. What would the humans look like? Would they be monsters? The door slid open, and a human walked in. Zixara stared. The human looked normal. He was tall but not giant. His skin was tan and smooth. He had brown hair and green eyes that seemed kind. He wore a blue uniform with strange markings on it. Hello, everyone, the human said with a smile. My name is Captain Jake Morrison. I will be your guide to Earth. His voice was warm and friendly. Zixara had expected something harsh and scary. This human seemed as gentle as any being she had met. I know you might be nervous, Captain Morrison continued. Your teachers have probably told you scary stories about Earth. Some of them might even be true. He laughed, and the sound was pleasant. But I promise you will be safe with us. We have been preparing for months to make sure you can visit our world without getting hurt. A student from the ice world Cryobeth raised a thin arm. Is it true that your world is always trying to kill you? Captain Marison thought for a moment. Well, I suppose it depends on how you look at it. We have learned to live with our planet. Most of us think Earth is quite beautiful. But the storms, Pipta said, their leaves turning orange with worry, and the earthquakes, and the volcanoes. Oh yes, we have all of those, Captain Morrison said cheerfully. But they are just part of life. You learn to work around them. Zixara could not believe how calm he was. This human talked about deadly disasters like they were minor problems. When do we leave? She asked. Tomorrow morning, Captain Morrison said. Pack light and do not worry about anything. My crew and I will take good care of you. That night, Zixara lay in her waterbed, thinking. The human had seemed so normal, so kind. Maybe Earth was not as bad as everyone said. Maybe the stories were just rumors. She fell asleep, dreaming of the blue and green world she would soon see. The next morning, the 6 remaining students met at the docking bay. Besides Zixara and her 3 friends, there was Glim, a floating energy being, and Spore, a fungus creature from a dark world. Captain Morrison was waiting for them with another human. This one was a woman with short black hair and strong arms. She wore the same blue uniform. This is Commander Lisa Hayes, Captain Morrison said. She is the best pilot in the Terran fleet. She will get us to Earth safely. Commander Hayes nodded at them. Welcome aboard the New Horizon. Please follow me. They walked through a tunnel into the human ship. Inside, everything was made of metal and hard surfaces. The lights were bright and white. It felt solid and strong, but also somehow dangerous. Your quarters are this way, Commander Hayes said, leading them down a corridor. We will reach Earth in 3 days. The trip should be smooth. As they walked, Zixara noticed something strange. The walls of the ship were thick, much thicker than on other ships she had seen. Why did humans need such heavy protection? Commander Hayes, she asked, why are the walls so thick? The human woman smiled. Oh, we are taking the scenic route. We will pass through the Serpent asteroid field. It has some beautiful views, and we want to collect some mineral samples. The alien students stopped walking. They stared at Commander Hayes in shock. The Serpent asteroid field? Glim's energy form flickered with fear. But that is one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. No ship goes there. Dangerous? Commander Hayes looked confused. I suppose there are a lot of rocks flying around. But the view is amazing. And some of those asteroids have really interesting minerals. Captain Morrison joined them. Do not worry. Lisa has flown through there dozens of times. She could do it with her eyes closed. Zixara felt a chill run through her gills. These humans talked about flying through a deadly asteroid field like it was a fun trip to the park. What kind of beings were they? As the ship left Kepler Station and headed into deep space, Zixara began to wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. Maybe Earth really was a death world, and maybe the humans who lived there were more dangerous than anyone had imagined. But it was too late to turn back now. The next day, Zixara woke up to a strange rumbling sound. The ship was shaking slightly. She pressed the call button next to her bed. Commander Hayes? She said into the speaker. Is everything okay? The ship is moving strangely. Oh, that, came the cheerful reply. We just entered the asteroid field. Nothing to worry about. Just some rocks bouncing off the hull. Rocks bouncing off the hull? Zixara's eyes went wide. She quickly got dressed and rushed to the observation deck. The other alien students were already there, staring out the windows in terror. Outside, huge chunks of stone and metal flew past the ship at incredible speeds. Some were as big as buildings. The ship twisted and turned between them like it was dancing. Every few seconds, smaller rocks hit the thick walls with loud bangs. "This is insane," Catherine whispered, their crystal body dim with fear. "We are all going to die." Commander Hayes walked onto the deck, carrying a cup of steaming brown liquid. She seemed completely relaxed. "Good morning, everyone. Beautiful view, is not it? Beautiful?" Spore's mushroom cap was trembling. "We are flying through a death trap." "A death trap?" Commander Hayes sipped her drink and looked out the window. "I suppose it looks dangerous if you are not used to. But this is actually a pretty calm day. Last week, there was a meteor storm here. Now, that was exciting." Captain Morrison joined them, also carrying the brown liquid. "Good, you are all awake. Lisa wanted to show you something special." The ship suddenly turned hard to the right. Through the window, the aliens saw a massive asteroid spinning slowly in space. It glowed with a strange green light. "Look at that. Beauty," Commander Hayes said with a smile. "Pure radium crystal. Very rare. Radium?" Pipta's leaves turned bright red with alarm. "But that is deadly radiation." "Oh yes, quite deadly," Captain Morrison agreed. "That rock could kill most life. Forms just by being near it. But it is so pretty. And the radiation makes our engines run better." Commander Hayes pressed some buttons on a control panel. "I am going to grab a small piece. Stand back from the windows." A metal arm came out of the ship and broke off a chunk of the glowing green rock. The aliens watched in horror as the deadly mineral was pulled into the ship's storage bay. "There," Commander Hayes said happily. "That will make a nice gift for my daughter. She collects interesting rocks." "You are giving radioactive material to a child?" Glynn's energy form was flickering wildly. "Just a tiny piece," Captain Morrison said. "She knows how to handle it safely. We teach our children about radiation early." Zixara felt sick. These humans gave deadly poison to their young ones as presents. What kind of world produced such creatures? 2 days later, they finally left the asteroid field behind. Zixara had not slept well. Every bump and shake of the ship made her think they were about to die. But the humans acted like they were on a pleasure cruise. "There she is," Commander Hayes announced over the speaker. Earth. The aliens rushed to the observation deck. In front of them hung a blue and white ball in the blackness of space. Swirls of white clouds moved across the surface. It did look beautiful. "See that big swirl near the bottom?" Captain Morrison pointed at a massive spiral of clouds. "That is Hurricane Patricia, Category 5, one of the big ones." "Hurricane?" Catherine asked. "A storm," Commander Hayes explained. "Winds moving at about 300 kilometers per hour. Lots of rain and lightning. Nothing too serious." "Nothing too serious?" Zixara stared at the giant storm. It looked big enough to cover her entire home continent. These humans called planet-sized disasters. Nothing serious. The ship moved toward a smaller gray ball orbiting Earth. "That is our moon," Captain Morrison said. "We have a research station there. Dr. Ben Carter is waiting to meet you." The moon base looked like a collection of white domes connected by tubes. It was built inside a huge crater. As they landed, Zixara could see the Earth hanging in the black sky above them. The blue world looked peaceful from here. But she knew that giant storm was still raging down there. Dr. Ben Carter met them at the airlock. He was an older human with gray hair and kind eyes. He wore a white coat covered in pockets. "Welcome to Luna Base," he said warmly. "I hope your trip was not too rough." "We flew through the Serpent asteroid field," Flux said, their gas body still trembling slightly. "Oh, that old thing," Dr. Carter laughed. "Lisa loves showing off her flying skills. Did you see anything interesting?" "They collected radioactive material," Pipta said, their leaves still pale from fear. "Wonderful. Radium crystals make excellent research samples. Very useful stuff." Dr. Carter led them through the base to a large room with comfortable chairs and big windows looking out at Earth. Now then, I know you have heard scary stories about our planet. I am here to give you a gentle introduction to Earth life. We will start with something simple and harmless. He pressed a button, and a large screen showed a picture of a small, furry creature with pointed ears and bright green eyes. This is a house cat, Dr. Carter said proudly. One of our most popular companion animals, completely harmless. We keep them in our homes with our children. The alien students looked at the cute, fluffy creature. It did not look dangerous. They are quite small, Dr. Carter continued. Usually about 4 kilograms, very soft and cuddly. Children love to pet them and play with them. It looks sweet, Zixara said. Oh, they are wonderful pets, Dr. Carter agreed. Of course, they are also perfect killing machines. Natural hunters with razor-sharp claws, needle-like teeth, and lightning-fast reflexes. They can see in complete darkness and hear sounds we cannot detect. The alien stared at him in shock. Killing machines? Spore asked weakly. Well, yes. Cats have killed an estimated 50 billion small animals on Earth, just in the last century. They hunt for fun, you see, even when they are not hungry. Quite impressive for such small creatures. Dr. Carter seemed completely proud of this fact. He was describing a tiny monster that lived in human homes, and he thought it was wonderful. But you said children play with them, Catherine said. Oh yes, cats are excellent with children. Very gentle and protective. Of course, you have to teach the children proper handling techniques. Cat claws can slice through skin quite easily. The screen changed to show videos of human children playing with these cats. The aliens watched in horror as tiny humans grabbed. The predators carried them around and even slept next to them. Here is my granddaughter with her cat, Mr. Whiskers, Dr. Carter said fondly. She is only 5 years old, but she already knows how to properly handle a hunter. In the video, a small human child was hugging the furry creature. The cat's green eyes seemed to stare directly at the camera. Its claws were visible, sharp, and curved like tiny knives. This is normal? Glim asked faintly. Completely normal. Most human families have at least one predator as a pet. Some have several. Dogs are popular too, though they are much larger. Some dogs weigh more than adult humans. Zixara's gills were working hard. She was having trouble breathing. You keep large predators in your homes? Oh yes, dogs are descended from wolves, you know. Pack hunters, very strong jaws. A large dog can bite with enough force to break bones, but they are wonderfully loyal companions. The screen now showed a massive, hairy creature with huge teeth, running alongside a human child in a park. The child was laughing and throwing a stick for the monster to catch. That is a German Shepherd, Dr. Carter explained. Very popular with families. Excellent guard dogs. They are trained to attack intruders. On command. Dr. Carter seemed to think this was all perfectly normal. Humans shared their homes with trained killers and called them family pets. Now, Dr. Carter said, changing the screen again, let me show you some videos of human children at play. This will help you understand how we raise our young. The screen showed a playground full of small humans. They were climbing on tall metal structures, swinging on ropes, and running around in the blazing sunlight. This is a typical Earth playground, Dr. Carter said. Children come here to have fun and exercise. Zixara watched a tiny human climb to the top of a metal tower at least 3 meters high. One slip would mean a deadly fall, but the child seemed completely unafraid. Are there no safety measures? Pipta asked, their leaves now white with shock. Oh, there are some basic precautions. Soft ground material under the equipment. But mostly, Children learn to be careful by experiencing minor injuries. It teaches them to assess risk. Minor injuries? Flux whispered. Cuts, bruises, broken. Bones. Nothing serious. It is all part of growing up on Earth. Dr. Carter talked about broken bones like they were minor scratches. These humans deliberately let their children get hurt to teach them about risk. A woman in white clothing entered the room. She had brown hair and a friendly smile. "This is Nurse Amy Collins," Dr. Carter said. "She helps take care of our medical needs here on the base." Amy Collins was carrying a small white box. She set it down and opened it. Inside were bottles, bandages, and nettle tools. "I just need to treat this small cut," she said, showing them a tiny wound on her finger. "I accidentally touched a sharp edge in the lab." She opened a brown bottle and poured clear liquid onto a white cloth. Then she pressed it against her cut. Smell that filled the room made all the aliens step back in alarm. Their translation devices immediately identified the chemical. "You just poisoned yourself." Catherine gasped. Amy looked confused. "Poisoned? Oh, you mean the alcohol." "Yes, it—" The morning of their descent to Earth, Zixara could barely eat her algae breakfast. Her stomach felt twisted with fear and excitement. Through the moon base windows, she could see the blue and white planet waiting for them. Below, Dr. Carter gathered the 6 alien students in the briefing room. He looked cheerful as always, but Zixara noticed he was wearing a thick protective suit. "Today, we visit Earth," he announced. "I have chosen a very safe location for our first landing. Colorado, in the North American continent. Very peaceful area, nice weather, nothing dangerous." Captain Morrison and Commander Hayes joined them, also wearing protective gear. "The shuttle is ready," Commander Hayes said. "We will land at a small city called Boulder. Population about 100,000 humans." 100,000? Glim flickered nervously. "That is a huge settlement." "Actually, that is quite small for Earth," Captain Morrison said. "Our largest cities have over 20 million people." 20 million humans living in one place? Zixara could not imagine it. Her home city on Tidal Prime had only 50,000 people, and that felt crowded. They boarded the shuttle, and Commander Hayes started the engines. As they dropped away from the moon base, Earth grew larger and larger in the windows. The blue oceans and white clouds looked beautiful, but Zixara could see a massive storm system swirling across the surface. "See that brown patch?" Dr. Carter pointed to a large area that looked like a scar on the planet. "That is the Sahara Desert. One of our smaller ones. Temperatures there can reach 60 degrees Celsius during the day." 60 degrees? Pipta us leaves. Turned yellow with shock. That would kill most plant life. "Yes, it is quite hot. But some humans live there. The Tuareg people have adapted to desert life over thousands of years. Remarkable, really." The shuttle shook as they entered Earth's atmosphere. The aliens gripped their seats as the ship was buffeted by winds and heated by friction. "Just a little atmospheric turbulence," Commander Hayes said calmly. "Normal entry conditions. Normal?" Zixara felt like they were being attacked by the planet itself. The air was fighting their arrival. As they dropped lower, Zixara could see the land below. Mountains rose like jagged teeth from the ground. Rivers cut deep scars through the landscape. Everything looked harsh and wild. "There is Boulder," Dr. Carter said, pointing to a cluster of buildings nestled against huge mountain peaks. "Home sweet home." The shuttle landed at a small airport. As the engines shut down, Dr. Carter handed each alien a breathing apparatus. "Earth's atmosphere is about 21% oxygen," he explained. "Most of you are used to much less. This will help you breathe safely." "Oxygen is a highly reactive gas," Catherine said nervously. "It causes explosive reactions." Yes, it is quite dangerous in high concentrations, Dr. Carter agreed. But human cells have learned to use it for energy. We actually need it to survive. They stepped out of the shuttle onto a concrete platform. Immediately, Zixara felt the crushing weight of Earth's gravity. It was nearly twice what she was used to. Every step took enormous effort, but the gravity was not the worst part. The air felt thick and heavy. Even through her breathing apparatus, she could sense the aggressive chemistry of the atmosphere, and the light from Earth's sun was so bright. It hurt her eyes through her protective lenses. "Welcome to Earth," Dr. Carter said proudly. "Is not it wonderful? Wonderful?" Zixara felt like she was being slowly crushed by an invisible weight, while poisonous gas tried to burn her lungs and radiation attacked her skin. A vehicle rolled up to meet them. It was a yellow box on wheels with windows. Captain Morrison opened the door. "This is a school bus," he explained. "We use them to transport children safely." The aliens climbed into the bus with great difficulty. The gravity made every movement exhausting. Through the windows, they could see their first real view of an Earth city. Humans were everywhere. They walked along stone paths called sidewalks. They moved in metal boxes called cars. They sat on wooden platforms called benches. And they all seemed completely comfortable in this crushing gravity and toxic atmosphere. "Look at them," Flux whispered in amazement. "They are not even wearing protection." It was true. The humans wore only thin cloth coverings. Their skin was exposed to the deadly radiation from their sun. Their lungs breathed the reactive oxygen directly, and they moved easily despite the crushing gravity. "Of course not," Dr. Carter said. "This is our natural environment. We have evolved here for millions of years." The bus stopped at a large brick building surrounded by smaller humans. A sign read Boulder High School. "This is where we educate our young people," Dr. Carter explained as they got off the bus. "Ages 14 to 18. About 2,000 students attend here." They walked through the front doors into a hallway filled with teenage humans. The noise was incredible. Hundreds of young voices talking, laughing, and shouting. Metal doors slammed. Feet pounded on hard floors. "It sounds like a battle," Spore sighed, his mushroom cap trembling. "Just students between classes," Dr. Carter smiled. "Teenage humans are quite energetic." A tall young human with brown hair approached them. He was huge, at least 1.8 meters tall, with thick muscles visible under his clothing. "This is Ryan Murphy," Dr. Carter said. "He plays football for our school team." "Football?" Zixara asked. "A combat sport," Ryan explained cheerfully. "Two teams try to carry a ball to opposite ends of a field. The other team tries to stop you by tackling you to the ground." "Tackling?" "Physical contact. Hitting, grabbing, knocking down. It is lots of fun." Ryan described ritualized violence like it was entertainment. He seemed excited about the idea of being attacked by other humans. "Do people get hurt?" Pipta asked, their leaves pale green. "Oh, sure," Ryan said. "Broken bones, concussions, torn muscles. I have been injured 12 times this season. But that is just part of the game. 12 injuries?" And he kept playing. Zixara stared at this massive young human who spoke about bodily harm like it was amusing that another human joined them. This one was smaller and female, with long blonde hair and bright blue eyes. "This is Katie Bell," Dr. Carter said. "One of our honor students." Katie smiled at the aliens. "I heard you are visiting from other worlds. That is so cool." "I am studying xenobiology. I want to learn about life on different planets." She seemed much more gentle than Ryan. Perhaps not all young humans were obsessed with violence. "What classes do you take?" Zixara asked. "Oh, the usual. Math, literature, history, chemistry, biology. I am also taking rock climbing and martial arts." "Rock climbing?" martial arts. Even the gentle ones engaged in deadly activities. Rock climbing? Catherine asked weakly. I scale cliff faces using only ropes and metal spikes, Katie explained happily. Last month I climbed a 200-meter vertical wall. The view from the top was amazing. Is it not dangerous? Well, if you fall, you die. But that is what makes it exciting. The risk makes you feel alive. Katie talked about deadly falls like they added to the fun. These young humans actively sought out mortal danger for entertainment. They followed Dr. Carter through the hallways to a classroom. A sign on the door read, Mr. Pete Davis, Biology. Inside, a middle-aged human with gray hair was showing students a collection of plants. The classroom walls were covered with pictures of earth creatures. All of them looked designed to kill something. Class, we have some special visitors today, Mr. Davis announced. These are alien students learning about Earth life. The human students turned to stare at the aliens with curious eyes. Zixara noticed that even these young humans looked strong and confident. Their eyes were alert and calculating, like predators, sizing up potential threats. We were just studying plant defense mechanisms, Mr. Davis continued. Perfect timing. He picked up a green plant with sharp spikes covering its stem. This is a rose. Humans grow them for their beautiful flowers and pleasant smell. It has thorns, Flux observed. Yes, modified stems designed to pierce flesh. Very effective against herbivores. Mr. Davis handled the dangerous plant casually, despite the obvious risk to his skin. He moved to another plant. This is poison. Ivy. It produces an oil that causes severe skin reactions in most mammals. Painful blisters, intense itching, sometimes permanent scarring. You keep it in your classroom? Spore asked in horror. Educational purposes. Students need to learn to identify dangerous plants. This knowledge could save their lives during outdoor activities. Mr. Davis had a room full of young humans learning about plants that could hurt them. And he acted like this was normal education. Over here we have nightshade, he continued, pointing to a plant with dark berries. These berries contain deadly alkaloids. Just a few could kill an adult human. Why do you not destroy these dangerous plants? Pipta asked. They're leaves now. Bright orange with alarm. Destroy them? Mr. Davis looked confused. But they are part of our ecosystem. Besides, many poisonous plants also have medicinal uses. Nightshade alkaloids are used to make important medicines. The humans used poison as medicine. They studied deadly plants in their schools. They lived surrounded by things that could kill them and called it education. A bell rang loudly through the building. The human students immediately began packing their materials. Time for lunch, Mr. Davis announced. Would our visitors like to join us in the cafeteria? They followed the stream of students to a large room filled with tables and chairs. Hundreds of young humans sat eating food from plastic trays. The smell was overwhelming. Dr. Carter led them to. The next morning, Dr. Carter announced they would visit something called a nature preserve. Zixara hoped this meant they would finally see the peaceful side of Earth that she had imagined from those beautiful pictures. We are going to Yellowstone National Park, Dr. Carter said as they boarded another vehicle. One of our most famous protected areas. Millions of humans visit there every year to enjoy nature. The drive took several hours. As they traveled, Zixara saw more of the Earth landscape through the windows. Rolling hills covered in green plants. Rivers cutting through valleys. Mountains reaching up toward the sky like stone claws. Everything looked so alive. But she was learning that on Earth, alive often meant dangerous. There it is, Captain Morrison said, pointing ahead. Yellowstone. They passed through a gate with a sign welcoming visitors to the park. Almost immediately, Zixara noticed something strange. There were cars everywhere. Hundreds of human vehicles filled with families. "Why are there so many people?" she asked. "Oh, this is actually a quiet day," Dr. Carter said. "In summer, we get over 30,000 visitors per day. 30,000 humans came to this nature preserve every day. On Tidal Prime, protected areas were kept empty to preserve the wildlife. Their vehicle stopped at a wooden building. A woman in a brown uniform came out to meet them. She had short red hair and a friendly smile. "This is Ranger Susan Price," Dr. Carter said. "She will be our guide today." "Welcome to Yellowstone," Susan said warmly. "I understand you are visiting from other worlds. How exciting. I hope you enjoy seeing our local wildlife." They walked along a wooden path toward what sounded like rushing water. As they got closer, Zixara could see steam rising from the ground ahead. "Our first stop is Old Faithful," Susan explained. "One of our most reliable geysers." "Geysers?" Flux asked. "Underground water heated by volcanic activity. It shoots up through holes in the ground every 90 minutes or so." "Volcanic activity?" Zixara felt her gills flutter with alarm. "There are volcanoes here?" "Oh yes," Susan said cheerfully. "Yellowstone sits on top of one of the largest volcanic systems on Earth. The whole park is basically the top of a massive volcano." They were standing on top of a volcano, an active volcano, and humans had built a tourist attraction here. "Is that safe?" Catherine asked, their crystal body dimming with worry. "Well, if it erupted, it would probably end human civilization," Susan said matter-of-factly. "But that has not happened for about 70,000 years. We think we have time." Susan talked about the end of civilization like it was a minor inconvenience that might happen someday. She seemed completely unconcerned about standing on top of a world-ending volcano that reached a large, open area where hundreds of humans sat on wooden benches. Everyone was pointing cameras at a raised mound of rock in the center. "Any minute." "Now," Susan said, checking her watch. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. The aliens jumped back in terror as a massive column of boiling water exploded from the earth. It shot up at least 50 meters into the air, sending clouds of steam in all directions. The humans around them clapped and cheered. Children laughed with delight. People took pictures of the deadly eruption like it was entertainment. "Beautiful, is not it?" Susan said proudly. "Old Faithful has been doing this for thousands of years." "The water temperature is over 90 degrees Celsius, Spore observed, his mushroom cap pale with fear. "Yes, quite hot. People used to cook food in the hot springs until we stopped them. Not because it was dangerous, mind you, just unsanitary. Humans had cooked food in boiling volcanic water, and they stopped not because it could kill them, but because it was unsanitary." As they walked deeper into the park, Susan pointed out more features. Hot springs that bubbled with toxic chemicals, mud pots that spat acid into the air, steam vents that released poisonous gases. The whole area is alive with geothermal activity. Susan explained. Over 10,000 hot springs, 300 geysers, and countless other thermal features. They were walking through a landscape that was literally trying to boil them alive. And humans came here on vacation. "Look," Susan said suddenly, raising her hand, grizzly bear. About 50 meters away, a massive brown creature was digging in the ground. It was at least 2 meters tall and covered in thick fur. Even from a distance, Zixara could see its enormous claws and powerful muscles. The aliens immediately began backing away. This was clearly an apex predator. They needed to evacuate immediately, but the humans just stood there watching. Some even moved closer to take pictures. "Beautiful animal," Susan said calmly. "Probably weighs about 300 kilograms. Grizzlies are omnivores, but they can run up to 50 kilometers per hour and have a bite force of over 8 million pascals. It could kill us all," Glim whispered, flickering with terror. Well, yes, if it wanted to, Susan agreed. But grizzlies generally avoid humans unless they feel threatened. We have learned to coexist. Coexist? Humans shared their world with creatures. They could run faster than most vehicles and bite with enough force to crush metal. And they called it coexisting. What if it attacks? Pipta asked, their leaves bright yellow with fear. Bear spray. Usually works, Susan said, patting a small canister on her belt. Or you make yourself look big and back away slowly. Most bears are just curious. Susan's defense against a 300-kilogram killing machine was a spray bottle, in the hope that it was just curious. The bear looked up at them for a moment, then went back to digging. It seemed completely uninterested in the group of potential prey standing nearby. See, Susan said, no problem. Bears and humans have shared this land for thousands of years. As they continued their walk, Susan told them about other park wildlife. Wolves that hunted in packs. Bison that weighed 1,000 kilograms and could charge at 60 kilometers per hour. Mountain lions that stalked prey from the shadows. Yellowstone has the most complete ecosystem in North America, Susan said proudly. Almost every species that was here when humans first arrived is still here. Today, every species, including all the predators that had evolved to kill things. They stopped for lunch at a picnic area surrounded by pine trees. Susan unpacked sandwiches and bottles of water while the aliens sat nervously on wooden benches. This is lovely, Dr. Carter said, looking around at the forest. So peaceful, peaceful? They were sitting in the middle of a volcanic wasteland surrounded by apex predators. How is this peaceful? I love camping here, Susan said, biting into her. Sandwich. There is nothing like sleeping under the stars in bear country. You sleep here? Flux asked in amazement. Outdoors? With the predators? Oh yes. Thousands of people camp in Yellowstone every year. As long as you follow proper food storage procedures and make noise when hiking, you are usually fine. Usually fine. Susan's safety plan was to make noise and hope. For the best. Last year I was camping near Lamar Valley, Susan continued. Woke up to find wolf tracks all around my tent. The pack must have investigated during the night. She talked about being surrounded by wolves, like it was a pleasant memory. As they ate, other visitors walked past their picnic table. Families with small children. Elderly couples with walking sticks. Teenagers carrying heavy backpacks. All of them were hiking through a landscape filled with deadly predators, toxic hot springs, and volcanic gases. And they were smiling. Do people ever get hurt here? Zixara asked. Well, sure, Susan said. Every year we have a few bear encounters. Bison gorings. People falling into hot springs. But considering we get over 4 million visitors annually, the injury rate is quite low. Bear encounters. Bison gorings. People falling into boiling acid. Susan listed these horrible fates like they were minor statistics. How low? Spore asked. Weekly. Double quotes. Oh, maybe 100 serious injuries per year. Only 1 or 2 deaths. Very safe, considering. Very safe? 100 people were seriously injured, and some died, and humans considered this an acceptable risk for a vacation destination. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Dark clouds were gathering over the mountains. Looks like a storm coming, Susan observed. We should head back soon. As they packed up their lunch, the wind began to pick up. The temperature dropped noticeably. In the distance, Zixara could see flashes of light among the clouds. Is that lightning? Catherine asked nervously. Yep, quite a storm building up. Should be spectacular. Susan seemed excited about the approaching electrical attack from the sky. They hurried back toward the visitor center as the first fat raindrops began to fall. The wind grew stronger. bending the pine trees and sending leaves swirling through the air. Then the lightning started. Brilliant flashes split the sky, followed by crashes of thunder that shook the ground. The rain turned into a downpour, soaking everything in seconds. The aliens huddled together in terror as the planet attacked them with electricity and water. But the humans just pulled out colorful cloth covers and kept walking. Just a typical afternoon thunderstorm, Susan called over. The noise of the storm. Nothing to worry about. Lightning struck a tree less than 100 meters away, splitting it in half with a crack like breaking bones. The aliens screamed and threw themselves to the ground. Susan helped them up with a smile. That was a good one. Lightning is amazing, is not it? Amazing? The sky was hurling electricity at them with enough force to split trees, and Susan thought it was amazing that they finally reached the safety of the visitor center. Through the windows, they watched the storm rage outside. Lightning continued to flash. Zixara woke up to the sound of rain pounding on her tent. The thin fabric walls shook with each gust of wind. Through the translucent material, she could see flashes of lightning illuminating the campground. Another storm had arrived during the night. She heard voices outside and carefully opened the tent flap. The human members of their group were already awake, standing in the rain without any protection. They were pointing at the sky and talking excitedly. "Look at that lightning," Dr. Carter said, water streaming down his face. "Must be striking every few seconds." "Beautiful storm," Susan agreed, not even bothering to seek shelter. "I love camping in weather like this." The other alien students emerged from their tents, looking as terrified as Zixara felt. The humans were enjoying a deadly electrical attack from the sky while the aliens cowered in inadequate shelters. "Should we not take cover?" Catherine asked, their crystal body flickering nervously. "Cover?" Captain Morrison laughed. "This is the best part of camping. Nothing like a good thunderstorm to make you feel alive." Feel alive. Again, the humans found life in the face of death. Thunder crashed overhead, so loud it seemed to shake the ground. A lightning bolt struck a tree on the far side of the campground, sending sparks flying through the air. The humans applauded. "Did you see that one?" Susan called out. "Perfect strike." They were cheering for the lightning. They were celebrating nature's attempt to kill them. Commander Hayes emerged from her tent, carrying a steaming cup of the brown liquid they called coffee. She stood in the pouring rain, calmly drinking poison while electricity split the sky around her. "Morning, everyone," she said pleasantly. "Sleep well? How can you be so calm?" Flux asked, their gaseous form trembling with each thunder crash. "Calm?" Commander Hayes looked genuinely confused. "This is just weather. Rain, wind, lightning. Pretty standard stuff." Standard. Deadly electrical storms were standard weather to these beings. As the storm slowly passed, they packed up their camping equipment. The humans moved efficiently despite the continuing rain, as if they had done this thousands of times before. "Next stop is the visitor center," Dr. Carter announced. "Then we head back to Boulder for your final day on Earth." Their final day. Zixara realized she should feel relieved. Soon she would be back on the safety of the moon base, then the long journey home to Tidal Prime, away from this world of constant danger. But instead, she felt something unexpected. Sadness. At the visitor center, they met more humans. Park employees who worked in this volcanic wasteland every day. Tourists who had come here voluntarily to expose themselves to mortal danger. And children. Human children who ran around the exhibits with boundless energy, completely unafraid of the deadly environment outside. A small human girl, maybe 6 years old, approached Zixara with bright, curious eyes. "Are you really from another planet?" the child asked. "Yes," Zixara said gently. I come from a world called Tidal Prime. Is it scary like Earth? Scary like Earth? This child thought her own world was scary, and yet she seemed completely fearless. No, Zixara said. My world is very safe. No dangerous storms or predators. The little girl looked disappointed. That sounds boring. I like adventures. Adventures. A 6-year-old human wanted adventures in a world that could kill her at any moment. Do you ever get scared? Zixara asked. Sometimes, the girl admitted. But my mom says being scared just means you are doing something important. Being scared meant you were doing something important. This child had been taught that fear was a sign of significance, not a warning to retreat. Her mother approached, a woman with kind eyes and confident bearing. I hope Emma is not bothering you, she said with a smile. Not at all, Zixara replied. She is very brave. All human children are brave, the woman said proudly. They have to be. Growing up on Earth teaches you courage, whether you want it or not. Growing up on Earth taught courage. These humans saw their deadly world as a training ground for developing. Strength dot as they prepared to leave Yellowstone. Zixara took one last look around. Families were hiking toward the geysers. Couples were walking hand in hand along paths that led past toxic hot springs. Elderly humans were sitting on benches, calmly watching steam rise from the ground above an active volcano dot. They all looked peaceful, happy, content. These beings had learned to find serenity in the midst of constant peril. The drive back to Boulder gave Zixara time to think. Through the vehicle windows, she watched the Earth landscape roll past. Mountains that could trigger avalanches, rivers that could flood without warning, forests that could burn in massive wildfires, and scattered throughout. This dangerous terrain were human settlements. Towns and cities where millions of these remarkable beings lived their daily lives, completely adapted to conditions that would terrify most galactic civilizations. Dr. Carter, she said quietly, why do humans not try to make Earth safer? Dr. Carter considered the question. I suppose we could. We have the technology to control weather, eliminate predators, remove geological hazards. But that would not be Earth anymore, and it would not produce humans. What do you mean? Our world made us what we are. The challenges, the dangers, the constant need to adapt and overcome. Take away those pressures, and you would get a completely different species. But surely you would be happier without the constant threats. Dr. Carter smiled. Would we? I have visited many peaceful worlds through my career. The beings there are often kind and gentle, but they also seem limited. They have never been forced to discover the full extent of their capabilities. And humans have, every day. Every human who gets up in the morning is choosing to face a world that could kill them at any moment. That choice, made billions of times each day, has shaped us into what we are. They arrived in Boulder as the sun was setting. The city spread out below them, lit by millions of lights. Humans moving through their daily routines, completely unaware that aliens from across the galaxy considered their normal lives to be acts of extraordinary heroism. Their final night was spent at a hotel in the city center. Through her window, Zishara could see humans walking on the streets below, children playing in parks, teenagers riding wheeled devices called skateboards, deliberately risking injury for the joy of movement. The next morning, they returned to the airport for their journey back to the moon base. As the shuttle lifted off from Earth's surface, Zishara pressed her face to the window for one last look at the blue and white planet. From space, it looked as beautiful as it had in those first pictures that had sparked her curiosity. But now, she understood what she was really looking at. Not a death world. A forge, a place where the universe had spent billions of years hammering raw matter into something extraordinary. Every storm, every predator, every geological upheaval had been a blow of the hammer, shaping life into forms of incredible resilience and adaptability. And the finest product of that forge was humanity itself. Back on the moon base, Sixara began working on her final report, the document that would be sent to every major academic institution in the galaxy, the paper that would change how the universe viewed Earth and its inhabitants. She wrote for 3 days straight, trying to capture everything she had learned. The casual way humans dealt with mortal danger, their ability to find joy in the face of adversity, the strength they drew from challenges that would break other species. "What will you call your report?" Dr. Carter asked as she finished. Sixara thought for a moment, redefining the Death World classification. Earth is a crucible of adaptive excellence. Adaptive excellence, Dr. Carter repeated. I like that. When the other alien students read her draft, they were amazed. You want to change Earth's classification? Catherine asked. The current system is wrong, Sixara explained. We classify worlds based on their hostility to life. But Earth is not hostile to life. It is hostile to weakness. What is the difference? Flux asked. A hostile world tries to kill everything equally. Earth kills the unprepared, the inflexible, the weak. But it rewards adaptation, intelligence, and courage with a chance to become something greater. Pipda's leaves rustled thoughtfully. You are saying that Earth's dangers are actually beneficial? Not beneficial. Essential. Remove the dangers. And you remove what makes Earth special. The humans are not great despite their world's challenges. They are great because of them. The report was submitted to the Galactic Xenobiology Institute 3 weeks later. The response was immediate and intense. Some professors called it revolutionary. Others said it was dangerous thinking that could encourage reckless exploration of death worlds. The debate raged across academic circles throughout the galaxy. But slowly, opinions began to change. Other research teams requested permission to visit Earth. Anthropologists wanted to study human culture. Biologists were fascinated by the adaptive mechanisms that allowed life to thrive in such hostile conditions. 6 months later, Sixara received a message from the Galactic Classification Board. Earth's official designation had been changed from Class 12 Death World to Class 1 Adaptive World. Extreme caution advised. The message included a note. New classification reflects the world's role as a natural laboratory for the development of highly resilient life forms. Recommended for advanced study by experienced xenobiologists only. Sixara smiled as she read. Extreme caution advised. The humans would probably find that amu